Please welcome this evening's guest moderator from IndieWire, Drew Taylor, and tonight's guests, John Butler, Hugh O'Conor, and Peter McDonald.
So my first question is, obviously, whether this was intentional or not, it plays like a very, very Irish response to something like The Hangover and these sort of very American comedies where guys go out and get into trouble. How much of that was on your mind, and what were you sort of intentionally trying to subvert with this?
Well, we love those comedies. We love American comedy films, and we wanted to make a film about men that we know and recognize in that context. So, without sacrificing any of the jokes, we wanted to tell a story that had some heart in the middle, a real beating heart. So the intention was to combine the jokes with the heart.
Right.
That was the kind of manifesto.
And obviously, the sort of breakout character in this is the Machine. Peter, can you talk about sort of where he came from? Who was he in your life? Because it seems like such a real character that he must have been drawn sort of from real existence.
Yeah, there's a few people that we probably know in there, but he wasn't based on anyone in particular. But he's based on the guy that if you turn up to the Stag and he's there, or the Bachelor party and he's there, your heart immediately sinks because you go, I'm going to have to spend 2 to 3 days with this guy, and I've only done 5 minutes and I'm already in hell. So that was kind of the initial idea for him, but obviously we had to find a deeper character within there, which there normally is. But also the Machine is a guy who just says what he thinks and feels. He's got no edit function, so he's a great, character in any situation. He'll explode it.
Well, I was going to ask all three of you guys sort of what is the sort of stereotypical stag party in Ireland? Because it's probably a little bit different than what we experience here.
I suppose tons of alcohol, an overnight visit to a Central European location, strippers, depravity, raging hangovers, tears, arguments, and a budget flight home.
Maybe it's not so different. Did you worry about the movie ever being sort of too Irish?
I don't think such a concept exists, personally. I would like to know what the audience feels. But no, I mean, I think with all writing, and I'm sure Peter agrees as well, that you try and write something specific and then hope that there's a universal resonance in it. Our interest was in writing characters that felt real to us and resonant to us. And if you commit to that, then there's a chance that it works. So,
John, I just wanted to ask you sort of what was your process like, and sort of, he's a very realistic character, but and sort of the most realistic in these kind of oddballs that you're with. What was it like sort of developing that character, especially with these two?
There's a lot of shame involved in what we had to do. I'm apologizing already for what you've seen, even in the trailer. But he's a theatre set designer, so he's quite precise about what he does. Some people would think that's overbearing or annoying, but I think it's just normal. And I don't really want to go on a stag. I think it's kind of a bit, a lot of men together. It's just too much. So I would go in her hen weekend very happily. We could go to the Brandenburg Gate. It'd be interesting for me. But that's seen as being a bit too metrosexual. So I think that's where my character needs to take his journey.
Well, let's look at the scene where I think you're trying to convince your co-star
Davin, yeah.
Yes, Davin, who is, you guys might know from Sherlock, to come on this stag trip, right? Thank you. Hilarious. Can you guys, each of you, talk about what it was like filming this thing? Because it seems like it was quite rough for a lot of it, and probably without a huge budget, it must have been tricky to pull off.
Yeah, it was. We filmed it for 20 days, so 4 5-day weeks in November in Ireland, which is traditionally quite a cold and wet period in a climate that is pretty cold and wet anyway.
Right.
So the challenges on, I'll let the guys answer for the acting side of things, but in terms of production, it was tight. But Peter and I suppose, had taken care to write a script that we knew would work, and we had great producers who knew how to run a good operation. So there were challenges, but it was hugely enjoyable.
Right. I don't think the Irish Tourism Board is going to contact you anytime. It's very wet, very rainy. But, I mean, people could be inspired, I guess.
The rain is beautiful. It's beautiful rain.
True Irishman. What about you guys from an acting standpoint? What were some of the challenges?
There was shrinkage. I'm just going to leave it at that.
You guys do get nude in this movie.
Yes, we do.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah,
we
it
see a
was-
lot of Peter's ass in this movie, I must say.
Yeah, that's why you should go and see it. It was cold. It wasn't as cold as it could have been because we shot it in November. But it threw us in together. Everyone was very much on the same page to start with, but when you have to do that as a cast, it's a good bonding experience. And we had a no moaning policy on set, so you couldn't even grumble about it, you couldn't even refer to it, which was interesting because you could see it cross certain people's faces that, geez, it's cold. But they couldn't vocalize it, so that was quite, those moments in themselves were very funny. But the guys were real troopers, you know. They really just dug in, and it was, they're tight shoots, but it was fun.
We had to wear onesies when we weren't naked. I think you were saying, I remember there were superhero onesies. So Michael Legg was, I think he was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, so when we were obviously, we had some costume women there who were lovely and very patient. And by day 2, we knew each other really, really well. And they would just kind of be waiting by the cameras, kind of to put our onesies on, and we'd be like, "I'm so sorry," and they'd be like, "It's okay."
This was for heat purposes,
For
or
heat,
just
yeah,
for
in
a fashion?
between.
Okay.
Yes, not for fashion. No.
This is a zero Winnebago shoot. There was nowhere to go other than around an electric heater between takes. So I mean, there's a huge physical demands on these guys.
Well, did you guys sort of bond over this, particularly actors? I mean, were you guys like, or did you just never want to see each other again? after
Never
this?
again. No, we did. It was great. I mean, we knew each other. We've worked together a few times before, so we were really. We hadn't actually worked with Pete's worked with Andrew Scott before, so he really made us raise our game a bit. I think in terms of just being a little bit intimidated by how good he is. So we had to try and just be a little bit better than usual, which is really unfair, but we tried.
Let's look at another clip. This is Peter falling down over an electric fence. It's like that scene from Jurassic Park, where the little kid gets zapped. Do we have any audience questions? Anybody want to ask questions for these Irishmen?
So when you saw each other naked, were there things you learned about each other that you never thought you were going to learn? And what was finding these sets that had to be a pretty interesting chore?
Well, there were things I suspected that turned out to be true, shall we say.
Yeah, Michael Legg, who plays my brother, revealed his shirt for the first day, and he was fully ripped, like a six-pack. And we were like, we swore at him a lot. We were like, that's not fair. You were not allowed to do that. We were like supposed to look normal. Anyway. Yeah.
What was part 2 of the question?
The sets, finding the locations.
Oh, the locations, yeah. Well, when you make a film in under the conditions we made it, you have to be within a certain radius of Dublin, of your unit base. So the majority of the locations are a short drive from Dublin City, but we're blessed in that we have fantastic views and scenery very close to the city centre. So it was the location is supposed to be deep in rural Ireland, but in reality it was less than an hour from the city. So yeah, it was good.
As far as technique, was there rehearsal period, how much improv, and then technical in terms of setting up how many cameras and what kind of camera equipment?
We shot the film on a Red Epic, and in terms of rehearsal, we had, was it 4 days?
Yeah, it was 4 days, yeah.
Yeah, 4 days beforehand, which gave us time to rehearse some of the longer, more dialogue-heavy scenes and to just familiarise ourselves with each other, which was actually invaluable because if you want to create some kind of a company feel, then those moments that you get before you go onto the set are very important because you can discuss things, and obviously all the actors can feed in their own information and ideas into the development of the characters, So yeah, some rehearsal, and I don't think you could do too much of that, to be honest. It was great.
And also when you hear the script being read aloud by the actors who are going to play the parts, you immediately know, hey, we're going to have to lose that line. Or maybe you need it a little bit more here. So you do some rewrites in the rehearsal room as you go along. It's really valuable.
Yeah, I think especially for a comedy, it starts to come alive when it's engaging the ear, you know. So the table reads and the rehearsal are fantastic, because there's no escaping the feeling that you get when you hear jokes that don't work. You know, they just have to be binned.
Or was it, was there improv once you got to the shooting, or were you pretty much stick with what you did in rehearsal?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I think actors will always contribute in excess of what's on the page in some ways, you know, whether it's just a level of interpretation that's slightly different or an advancement on an original idea. But Peter and I took a lot of care to write a script that worked, that we felt worked, that it was structured in a way that it was very clear what the story was going to be. So, and we didn't really have time to go and find the film on location because of the restraints. So, I mean, yes, obviously it's a collaboration, but at the same time, there were story beats that just had to be nailed before you moved on. There wasn't a huge amount of time. And I think sometimes with a lot of improv, you can feel it. You can feel the energy is slightly different, and it's, I don't know, it can sometimes draw you out of the moment as a viewer, I feel.
Also, with improvisation, sometimes actors are consciously trying to be funny, as opposed to just being their characters, and that the characters are funny. So sometimes the character development can drift a little bit, and I think the audience can pick up on that. It can be really funny, but also it makes the film longer, which isn't what you want.
There's no Apatowian length issues with this movie. It's a very tight, 90-something, 94 minutes? Something
93.
Like that? 93,
yeah, and it's important. I don't think comedies, to be fair, I don't think they should be any longer or much longer. You know, we always had an eye on that number, that ideal duration.
Yeah, even while we were speaking, you could just see John looking at his watch and going, again.
And we sped up the voices in post as well, so their pitch is higher, you'll notice.
Was there anything that you were really sad to sort of lose in order to keep that 93 minutes? And this goes for the actors too.
There's always stuff in there that you don't, you know, that doesn't end up in the film, that, you know, like little moments or things, but for the most part they stayed in. But when you test screen the film, you have convictions about the edit of the film and what's working and what isn't, but you really don't know anything especially with a comedy, until you put it in front of an audience. Yeah. You just don't know, and they tell you what it is.
There was a nice argument in the opening scene between Davin and Fanon where they gave out to each other about their relative lack of knowledge about single malt whiskey, and it played long, but it was funny, and I think it was disappointing for us to have to cut that, but I guess that's part of the journey. And
when did you know the movie was working? I mean, when was the first realization that, okay, people are going to laugh at this stuff?
Well, we did I guess there were various points, but we did some screenings where we brought rough cuts to different audiences and tried to gauge the response to individual moments, and I think that's invaluable in comedy, definitely. I think it's invaluable anyway, because it gives you a degree of objectivity. Once it's released to an audience, you suddenly know inside you what's wrong with it, and you want to take it back and finish it. Right. So I thought that was invaluable, and we did maybe 4 or 5 of those. So.
I felt it was when we were writing it. I mean, like every time you show the film, you hope it's going to work. Like we showed it last night here, and though we've shown it to many different audiences in different countries, you're still going, I hope they laugh, I hope they enjoy it as much as other people do. So you're constantly being tested by it. But I think, for me, it was when we wrote the scene around the campfire. That's when I felt, okay, well, this is actually going to work as a movie that exists on the big screen. Because it's a point where we have enough knowledge about the characters to understand what's going on between the lines and how they're revealing themselves, but it's done without any dialogue, and it's done through basically performances that really only work up on the big screen. I mean, even on the small screen, it doesn't read as well, you know, but you know, it still works. But it
still
makes
works
it
on
cinematic.
iTunes and on demand.
Yeah. It works
amazingly on iTunes.
It works on the small screen as well, but it makes it cinematic. Yeah.
Good evening. I'm curious, during the 20 days, you said 20 days of actual filming.
Yeah.
I'm curious what type of social media strategies, as the production and also as the actors, you all might have implemented to just kind of vent, or just to kind of get your followers invested in what you're about to do, but still kind of holding on to the secrets. Just can you tell me a little bit about maybe the advanced plans and strategies that you guys use for your social media and what you guys did?
We obviously had Twitter and Facebook on the go during the shoot, but we would post an occasional photo from the set, or we'd all be tweeting from our own accounts as well. And we'd try and drip feed some of that stuff out into the world and get a sense of it, ahead of time. But I have to be honest and say that you're so completely consumed by the process of not making a bad film that that stuff really, it was relegated in importance. And then afterwards in the edit, or from there on, the ramping up could possibly begin more in earnest, It's just so all-consuming. I think it is from an acting and writing point of view, and certainly from a directing point of view, that you just want to keep your eye on that thing, and everything else is excluded until that's done.
It is an interesting question, though, but I suppose when you make a smaller film like this, you don't feel like the eyes of the world are on you in terms of fans, and so there's a relative freedom to that. So it's very hard for larger films, as we see now, to keep their secrets under wraps. And then obviously the way people market movies now, the trailers have to be very long and they have to give a lot of things away. So as social media develops more and more and more, it's a tricky balance for people to get right. Well, we didn't release anything about the film, but I mean, I guess the biggest part of the process will be the trailer for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the trailer is literally the selling point of the film. There was an awareness of it in Ireland anyway, because it's called a Stag in Ireland, and that was just something that people could hold on to and go, okay, well, I know what that is, So there was, and because of who we cast and all that, there was an awareness that this film was coming down the pipe, and people were interested in it from the outset. But I think you're right. Before the trailer was ready to go, there wasn't really much conscious pushing on our part,
My social media strategy is just to retweet praise constantly and just watch your follower count just go down and down and just not care. You just be like, I don't care.
Can we tweet your pants? Because I'm just looking at your pants right now and they're incredible. They're like, what are they, like cheetah print or something? Is there like
Hugh's pants have their own Twitter account.
They're really good.
That's right.
Hugh's pants are going to be the new Twitter.
They're actually an optical illusion.
That's his flesh.
Are they that weird?
I love them. I think they're great.
He's got a lot of heat about his pants at different press events.
Not always
have
good.
Have you been wearing the same pants to everything?
No, there's a different pair of pants. Can we briefly discuss those check pants?
I don't really want to talk about those pants right now.
But the pants.
I'm never wearing them again. I wore them at the Dublin Film Festival, and you wrote something really offensive about them, and then it got retweeted a lot. And I actually, not only did I delete the pictures, but I also threw the pants away.
There was a headline in the newspaper the following day solely concerned with Hugh's pants.
That's not true.
Open brackets, that is true. Close brackets.
The headline was "Man in Ridiculous Pants."
Rumoured to be actor Hugh O'Conor.
If I lived in Florida, I think everyone wouldn't even notice. I don't know what the problem is.
They were Floridian.
You said you went to different countries to show the film. Which country was most difficult to translate the comedy to, besides Germany?
It's opening in Germany in a week, I think, or 2 weeks. We brought it here this time last year, actually, and so it's really gratifying to be back with the finished product at Tribeca. The film is written in a American tradition of comedy, so it was really important to us that we had a sense that the jokes might land here and that it might resonate with the audience here. We did it in London, I think, as well. But it'll be really fascinating for us as filmmakers to see how it goes down in Australia or Spain or Mexico or Poland. I think like I said at the beginning, you just hope that something universal will resonate with people.
John actually went to South Korea with the film.
I completely forgot about that.
How did that go?
They adored it. Yeah, it was incredible. And their questions afterwards were so specific. You remember this? Questions pertaining to motivations of minor characters. Like, they really loved it. And, at its heart, it's a story, the story of Davin is a man who's in love with regret, a romantic, a guy who has difficulty relating to his best friend. And then the story of the machine is of a man who conveys incredible strength, but there is a weakness within him that needs to be fixed also. Like, those things are totally universal. Yeah, absolutely. We also went to Italy with it.
Yeah, the Italians loved it. And also, Italians absolutely love U2. And there's a scene in the film where a character says he can't stand U2, he doesn't like them, whereas my character adores them. But when that character said it in the film, in the theatre, there was a kind of an audible kind of, what? You don't like UO, do I? Are you crazy? Yeah, it was really funny.
Can you talk about getting the right? I mean, what was the sort of clearance issue with that? Was that smooth sailing? Was it incredibly difficult? Was it most of the budget? What was it?
I wouldn't describe it as smooth sailing, but they were fantastically generous. Okay. And they gave us the rights to use their most celebrated song, and it's a song that's very dear to their hearts as well, in terms of the story of their band staying together. And so the song that they gave us is huge, and they were very generous. But we found out very close to the wire. We didn't have any plan B. So.
But in fairness, we gave it to them only because the film came together so quickly. They didn't really have that much time to kind of assess the project and see whether it was something they could give their blessing to. So I think actually in terms of the timescale, they actually came in for us very well.
Did they watch the movie? Have you heard from them what they thought?
Well, I mean, they gave us the song based on reading the script. Okay. And obviously the concern for us would be that they'd get to page 50 and then throw it against the wall and go, this is an anti-U2 film, which it isn't. Obviously, we love them. So
has Bono not texted you yet, no?
That's him.
It's just in. Not for me, it says. No, they were great. It was so generous. They don't have to support small indie Irish films, comedies like this, and it was great that they did, you know. Please be about Hugh's pants.
No, but it actually is a question for Hugh. You've been in big budget films like Three Musketeers, you know. That's how I know you, is from that. So doing movies like that and then doing something smaller, what's the benefit of doing a smaller film?
I don't know. No. It actually makes me feel really old because they've remade The Three Musketeers since the one I was in. So they've remade a film that I've been in, so I feel really old now. I guess you know, obviously the more money in a film, I suppose the less control you have over it, maybe a little bit. So I mean, even though it's tough, it's great to have kind of a pretty much a kind of control about what you're doing. I don't know. It's for you guys. Would you say?
And the less money you get paid.
Correct. Yeah, although I mean, actually, you know, the script, because it was so well written, we didn't really improv at all. But we were never told we couldn't, but they just vibed us. You know, they were like, don't mess around with gold.
We didn't at all. The scene in the tent, you know, when they get stuck in the tent, that's pretty much improvised from inside. We didn't even know we were going to do that on the day until we got there. Yeah.
Well, we like to wrap this up with you guys just sort of giving aspiring filmmakers tips on what they could do. I mean, if you had to sort of impart your wisdom, and this goes out to all three of you, what would you tell them?
Well, I was asked this earlier. I think the most important thing for somebody who's trying to make their first film, and that's such a hurdle to get over because obviously you're unproven, but I think the most important thing to do is to find producers who believe in the story, because I think as a first-time filmmaker, you're not going to get money, and by extension, the production is not going to get money. So it takes producers who believe in the story and understand the value of the story. And I think there's a cliche about producers as being kind of venal and money obsessed, and that might be true for people who weren't as lucky as Peter and I, but we had Rob Walpole and Rebecca O'Flanagan there who basically bullied that film over the line. And as a first-time filmmaker, I just think that's exactly the support that you need to find, you know, and I think it's rare, and I think it's underappreciated in the business. So,
what about you guys? Any tips, words of wisdom?
You really work hard on your script, get a great sense of what you're trying to make, and understand that everyone who comes to the table, and all the disciplines that are involved in filmmaking are as important as the next, because that's how you get your best film.
Yeah.
I suppose as an actor, just do a lot of exercise and crunches every morning. I can't stress that enough, here and here, because one day this might happen to you as well, and I'm very sorry about that.
I just wanted to thank our lovely participants here, Hugh, Peter, and John. And I want to tell everybody to watch this movie because it's really cute and really funny and smart, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful little film. So please, there's no excuse. Just go watch it. It's really fun. You'll have a great time. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
very much.